Manufacturer's warning. Prolonged exposure to the Lolocaust may cause your top hat to be propelled into lower orbit, your dandy monocle to be blasted several meters into the opposite wall, and your socks to be excavated by the archaeologists of future generations from an as yet undetermined point somewhere close to the Earth's core. And now we join Lolocaust Wisbeach and your host, Bouncy Ball.
Yeah, I really shouldn't have used that intro. That is far too jolly for the mood that I'm in. That kind of, ooh, look, wasn't it great in Britain all those years ago when people actually wore hats that wasn't a fashion statement? It was just, and underneath those hats, they had perfect hair that they could just take it off, and they knew how to look after their hair. There was no hat hair. It wasn't a hat to like hide some shame. It was just like a proper hat for a proper gentleman at a proper time of this country. Was once great. If you haven't got the point of it so far, this is not going to be a happy podcast. This is not going to be the best show we've ever put out. Consequently, it may be the best show we ever do. And if that's the case, it's our third show. If we peak at episode 3, what can we possibly do to come back from that? I'm going to go away. I'm going to have a look at some pictures I've been sent on the internet, and you can listen to that bagpuss thing. Because, you know, again, coming from a time when Britain was slightly better than it is now. Oh, brilliant. So, yeah, there you go. That bagpuss intro.
Once upon a time, not so long ago, there was a little girl, and her name was Emily. And she read a blog. There it is. It was rather a usual blog because it didn't write anything. You see, everything in that blog's page was a link that somebody had once posted and Emily had found and mailed on to Bouncy. Emily's cat, Bouncy. The most important, the most beautiful, the most magical, saggy old internet troll in the whole wide world. Well now, one day Emily found a link, and she brought it back to the blog, and she mailed it to Bouncy, who was asleep in his pants as usual. But then Emily said some magic words. Bouncy, dear Bouncy, old fat furry noncy, wake up and look at this link that I bring. Wake up, be bright, spout venom and shite. Bouncy, oh hear what I sing.
Yeah, a fake yawn. I didn't even need to do a fake yawn. I could have done a real yawn because I'm tired and I'm fed up and I'm miserable. And despite all of that, I'm sat in a bloody chair in my front room talking into a microphone that came free with Guitar. Well, it didn't come free. It came in a really expensive bundle pack for Guitar Hero World Tour. That's sitting on a microphone stand from a really expensive bundle pack from Beatles Rock Band with a pop filter that was bought relatively inexpensively at a local music shop. It wasn't supposed to be like this, you know? When I was a kid, I had dreams like you guys. I had dreams. I was going to be a teacher. I was going to go out there and teach people stuff. Like I wanted to be an English teacher or a history teacher, and now that's not even a priority for people anymore, you know? I know somebody who doesn't know who Winston Churchill is, didn't know who Margaret Thatcher was, and probably, if pushed, would struggle to name any Prime Minister from the last 20 odd years. It's like, that's not even like big time history, you know? That's relatively modern history. And English, you know, I entered a poetry competition recently, and I got shortlisted, and I was really, really pleased with that. I didn't win, obviously. If I won that, do you think I'd be doing this without having some sort of poet? You can tell from the way I talk, I'm not a cunning linguist. I can't string a sentence together off the cuff. I have to sit and plan it out. And I wrote a poem, and everybody else at this thing, it was a local thing, but everybody else had done things like, oh, look, isn't the sky beautiful? And, oh, we live in an area that's got lots of flat land and great vistas and the tradition and history. And my poem was about a bloke who went on and, for want of a better word, he was a farmer who was put in a position where he ended up shooting himself. And, I thought that was a really good one. So I'm going to read it out to you now. This is the poem I wrote, right? Just, you probably don't even care, but I'm going to read it anyway, right? It's called The Sad, Eventual, Inevitable Ending by Nathan Smith. Not Bouncy Ball, no. Nathan Smith, the name that would have been on my name badge in my place of occupation that wouldn't have been... Anyway. As the vehicles pulled away, the man stared into the distance, surveying what was once his land. A tear rolled down one cheek. Looking back to the now vacant sheds, complete with diesel stains on the cold floor, shadows of tools alongside old coffee jars, filtered light giving the illusion of motion. He walked back towards what used to be his home, his life, emptied via auction. It wasn't home anymore. For 40 years he had worked the land. It seemed a distant memory now. The dirt remained under his fingernails, the scars of the past etched into his expression. Sitting alone, he wept. The wind whispered as he sat. The tears kept on flowing as what remained of his life dried out in the sun. Now, I'll just give you a second to take that in. That's how I'm fucking feeling now. I'll sit here, I've been reduced to a half-hour internet radio show when I had dreams of having a jacket with patches on the elbows, talking to you. And I'm not, ungrateful. I'm not ungrateful at all. We get good listeners for this. My website's doing better than ever. But I'm sitting in a flat, a dingy flat with a tree coming in through the window. My only company is Jim Sterling tied up in the corner, right? I got Dalek Sex in the kitchen at the moment. He's putting together a bit of audio to play later in the show. I can hear him. He's talking into a pan to make his voice sound really kind of like, oh, this is the voice of... Yeah, he talks into a saucepan to do that effect. Normally, he sounds like Keith Chegwin, but with a bit of pan manipulation, poof, he sounds brilliant. So I wrote that poem. And everybody else had done a jolly thing, and I did that. And I had to go nearly last. So I had to stand up in front of a load of people who were enjoying their evening. And I had to read out something that was kind of... In terms of skill, some of theirs were a lot better. One was a bloody cheat. We were supposed to do one side of A4. She did loads. Couldn't stick to the rules. You've got to have rules, otherwise you can't have fun, can you? So I did that poem. And it got put in a book. I'm not doing a poetry podcast, so am I? I'm not talking to you now. Well, I am. In a way, I'm talking about it now. See, what I should have done is I should have... last night, I went to see a comedy show. And that was very good. Could have done a whole show talking about that. But, I'm not going to talk about that. So, anyway, here's an advert for a podcast that's significantly better than ours.
We interrupt your regularly scheduled program to bring you some important news from the world of live chat shows. Want to talk about video games? Chat show? Isn't it more of a podcast? It's not Jonathan Ross. You may not realise it, but you have missed the most awesome source show, What Talks About Video Games. Seriously, is awesome source even a word? Every Tuesday night at 9 PM, the Gamescast presents its unique blend of news and rants live via Spreaker.com, packed into 45 minutes of goodness. This is starting to sound like a coffee advert. We now return you to the Lolocaust, because we mad too.
Yeah, so there you go. The Gamescast. Tuesday nights on Spreaker.com and the internet. See, I'll tell you what else doesn't help. The Apprentice is on the telly. I look at my Twitter feed and I'm thinking, I'm going to look at all my friends who are listening into the show live. It's going to be great. I'm going to have all these people who are going to be like, yeah, Yeah. Go on, Bouncy. You're miserable. We like it when you're miserable because you can rant a bit. And that's good. Right? Most of them, they're fucking watching The Apprentice. They're going to catch me at a later date. They're going to pick me up on iTunes, which I appreciate. But come on. I'm here. I'm doing it. If I was going to do this for your convenience at time later date, I wouldn't be sat here now wearing like Avengers trousers with Thor and Hulk and Captain America. I'm genuinely wearing lounge pants with them on, a t-shirt with a Muppet on it. Right? I can't even remember the name, but it's that Da Vinci thing, the something of man, where it's like the thing in a circle, but it's Kermit. If it wasn't for alcohol, I wouldn't be here. Because you don't deserve it, some of you. There's only one person listening to the show live. That's HDVD. So thank you. But everybody else listening at your convenience at a time that's appropriate for you, you don't deserve it. I wouldn't keep doing it. You want to thank AHDVD because he's the only person that stopped me pushing the stop button in despair, going off and watching The Apprentice. You know, if you want a belligerent old man with a beard talking down to people, just listen to me, because it's the same thing. Only you don't have to wait an hour to see the result, because we're already half an hour, and that's fine. So yeah, alcohol. If it wasn't for the numbing effect of it, then I wouldn't be here. So yeah. Anyway, let's do some gaming news. Hey, gaming news. Everybody loves gaming news. Should really have recorded a jingle, but didn't because of being on the toilet most of the day with an upset stomach. Woo! So yeah, gaming news. Black Ops 2 has been confirmed. There we go. That's gaming news done. Right, now, what have we got? Oh, we've got this little sting thing with some music from Command & Conquer. So there you go. Enjoy that.
We are the Lolocaust. Be with us or be branded a Lolocaust denier.
Yeah, all you people listening out there who aren't like listening live, you are Lolocaust deniers of a sort as well. You shouldn't be proud of yourselves. But the only way I will forgive any of you is if you leave a review on iTunes. Then you can redeem yourself. And don't say you haven't got time, because you're listening to this when you've got time. And if you say, I'm listening to it in the car on the way to the office, because I've got a swanky job that pays well, and then do it when you get to work, or before you leave for work, or something like that. You bloody selfish bastards. So yeah. Anyway, for those people that are listening live, thank you very much. It makes my life a tiny bit more joyful. Yeah. So yeah, I've spent the day, due to an illness that I suffer, I've spent most of the day in pain. And I haven't been able to go out. I've supposed to have gone to a meeting tonight, couldn't make it. So I've sat here and I think, should I just cancel the show? Should I get somebody else to do the show for me? No, I turned up. Now I get messages from people saying they're not going to turn up. Like, I can't make it tonight. Something on the telly that I normally watch. Or, the wife wants to watch something on Sky Plus, so I'll have to listen to you later. It's like, that's what headphones are for. Or the Sean Connery answer. You know? Just come on, people. I'm committed to you. Yeah, I'm committed. I should be committed. I'm sitting on a swivel chair that my wife bought from the side of the road the other day, and I'm not entirely sure it's dried out fully yet. So, yeah, I might have a soggy anus for you guys. Anyway, Dalek Sex has just come back from the kitchen. He's handing me a C90, which I'm now going to... you say I haven't got one, I have. It's just there. That's the sound of me shaking it. So I'm going to put it in the tape player. And this is Dalek Sex, who, from the sound of it, has had just as good a week playing video games as I've had today on everything else in life. So, yeah, over to him with his weekly voice of sex.
We are the Lolocaust. Prepare your body for the voice of sex.
Yeah. Huh. Come on. He's got opinion, a posted suggestion, but never reveals his name. Read by someone, taken as a good one, but nobody knows who wrote it. Few lies with the sentence line, anonymity annoying me all the time.
This week on The Voice of Sex, the Dalek Sex Awards for the least horrible game I have played this month. And first up is Prototype 2, a skyscraper jumping sandbox game in the vein of Crackdown and Spider-Man. Prototype 2 takes the story up a year after the end of Prototype 1, and keeps most of the tropes which made the original such a hit. However, being a sequel, it does make a few changes. Firstly, Alex Mercer, the sociopathic amoral bioweapons scientist from the first game, whose worldview is turned on its head 3/4 of the way through the game, forcing the player to make some challenging, uncomfortable, and genuinely unique internal judgment calls about the way in which they choose to react to the situation, has been replaced by James Heller, a shouty black soldier looking for his daughter. This is your character motivation, and this it will stay until the end sequence, in which Dana Mercer says, "What the fuck do we do now?" and it fades to the credits. Bravo. I am not making this shit up. Secondly, Blacklight, the government special ops team out of Fort Detrick, who remained a shadowy quantity in the first game, subjectively the bad guys, but from their point of view, genuinely trying to save the world, has been reduced to the status of cartoon villains. They chatter on the radio to each other about releasing infected monsters on the public using Hanna-Barbera quality comedy voices. And special mention must go to Blacklight Trooper Starnes, who makes comments about having sex with the infected until his CO despairs of how he passed the psych evaluation. Finally, the level up system has undergone some tweaks, and by tweaks I mean ruining. Close to the start of the game, you learn a move called Black Hole, which is nearly as powerful as Prototype's Devastators, and at this point, the game is effectively over. Shortly afterwards, you gain a move that kills a tank in one hit. Later, a move which kills helicopters with one punch. You kind of see where I'm going with this. Next up is The Witcher 2, Assassin of Kings, a game which viciously and cynically hooked me in with its promise that it was a game about a professional monster hunter. Now, I have in the past sunk literally thousands of hours into Capcom's Monster Hunter franchise, so I felt I was well prepared to take this challenge on. What I wasn't prepared for was an intro chapter which was 3 bell-end-burstingly hours long, and imparts nothing to the player apart from the notion that the king is dead, and they think you did it. It's another hour or so of condensed faffing around before they let you out into the game's actual environment, at which time you're treated to a limp fantasy world which assumes automatic investment in everything it throws at you at face value, and a bog-standard combat system where the dodge roll is king. In summary, if every game tried as hard to be as exciting as Assassin of Kings tries to be boring, we would be living in a golden age. If Kingdoms of Amalur Reckoning is Baby's first Skyrim, then The Witcher makes a convincing argument for being Baby's last. Finally, we have Street Fighter Cross Tekken. You may be old enough to remember SNK vs Capcom, and by if you're old enough, I mean that if you're listening to a podcast by a group of aging hairy tossers whine about video games for pleasure, then you certainly will be. You may have remembered it was a horrendously stilted affair which the developers seemed to have knocked up drunk over the course of a weekend, that no effort had been made to shoehorn the physics of either game into a cohesive experience, and that everyone was drawn in the SNK style, and so looked either identical or constipated. The Street Fighter Cross Tekken experience is identical, with the single difference being that everyone is drawn in the style of Dan Hibiki, and therefore looks like a frog. So congratulations goes to Prototype 2. You were shit, but you were fun. In a month of games which seemed designed by escaped Nazi scientists to send people scrambling back to the indie market, you have stood apart as the most polished turd floating in the stained toilet bowl which the industry has become. Mazel tov.
Go over it, game over now. Is this the place that shines? Sit down to it or drown by. It's your turn to throw the dice.
Yeah, so that's what good audio sounds like. That's somebody talking into a saucepan in the kitchen flat of the Lolocaust apartment building. It's not even an apartment building. It's just a bed sit above a derelict old rumbelows. You know, you go look at the IGN building. There's a big monstrosity of glass and steel that that any bloody like bomber could just go up there, blow it up, it would go. Our shop, Rumbelows, has been gone for ages. There's still a washing machine downstairs that works. It works. It hasn't got anything wrong with it at all because it was built when things were made to last. You just, I'm not even ranting about washing machine build quality. I'm just saying that we're in this shitty little flat putting out a show that people can't be bothered to listen to live, but we bother putting it out live. I just, you sicken me. You don't, yeah, just, yeah. So yeah, we've got a few people listening now. So thank you to you people. I apologise for the mood. I'm not usually like this. It's just when I start thinking about stuff. Oh, what's this? Oh, pass it to me now. It's movie news. It's time for movie news. The Avengers came out and broke box office records or something. That's the end of movie news. Yeah, so now as with the fact we've done movie news, I'm going to play this advert for the Monday Movie Show because they help advertise us, and it's 30 seconds of blissful break from my ever increasingly drunken ranting at you down a computer game peripheral microphone piece of equipment. So enjoy these 30 seconds because they're the last 30 seconds before the end of the show where I'm not going to be talking.
Do you like films? Then tune in to the Monday Movie Show live on Spreaker.com every Monday at 7:30. Each week, your hosts Stuart and Andy review the latest cinema and home releases, as well as going over the latest movie news and the box office / Blu-ray and DVD top 10. For more information, visit the site www.mondaymovieshow.co.uk or follow us on Twitter at Monday Movie Show. And don't forget to download the podcast on iTunes. Just search for the Monday Movie Show.
There you go. Yeah, Monday Movie Show on a Monday. There's a bit of a clue in the name. If you get that wrong, you're a fucking idiot. So yeah, I had an email this week. This didn't set my week off well. I had an email. The email said, I listened to your podcast, but I won't be listening to it again because I like other podcasts better. They did name the podcast, but I'm not going to give them free advertising. They're already quite high up in the charts. And I said, I emailed back, I said, we're not a video games podcast. You're comparing us to a video games podcast. They said, well, your advert says you're a video games podcast. And I said, it also says we do the internet and cats. And what's your interest in cats? And they responded and said, I have a lot of interest in cats. And I went, yeah, I bet you do, you fucking pervert. Just because you fuck cats doesn't mean that you get the right to judge us. And then he turned around and he said he prefers to listen to podcasts of people who are younger and are more have a finger on the pulse of what's popular these days. I was like, you fucking idiot. I've got a finger on the pulse. I could do all that shouty thing. I could get tattoos all over my arms and wear T-shirts with bands on that I never really listen to, but for some reason it's popular to wear them. I could sit and put out a YouTube video in response to something official where I give my opinions and it's valued and I get a lot of likes because that makes it all better. But I don't, because it's not any better. I could sit here in a suit and tie and you wouldn't know the difference, but I'm not. I'm wearing what can most confidently be described as unemployment uniform. I'm sat here in pants of undetermined age, right? The elastic has gone. There is nothing holding them up. They're just a thin barrier between my anus and my pyjamas. Lounge pants. They're the same thing. I sleep in them. I don't even bother anymore. Like, I finish a show, I'll go upstairs, I'll cry for a bit, and then I'll lay on my overly firm mattress in my tiny bedroom, looking out my window at my fucking neighbours who do nothing for anybody else in the street but moan and complain. And then I wake up in the morning and I get these messages where there'll be like 5 people saying, I've really enjoyed the show. And there'll be like a couple of emails from people just sending abuse. And I'm like, I love those emails. You keep them coming because that fires me right up for the rest of the day. It sets me up to have a really good day when some jumped up little fucking nonce with no idea what he's doing in life, who's got nothing better to do than go through a load of podcasts and listen to other people's opinion because he's totally incompetent and incapable of forming one himself. You know, you want an opinion on something, go fuck off. Go on, don't come on the internet and try and get a view. Go outside, yeah, live your life, make your own mind up on stuff. We don't review games, really. Like Dalek said there, he just gave you an overview of his opinion. It's an opinion, it's not a review. Like, if you want us to start telling you exactly what you should and shouldn't be doing, then you're the wrong person for this podcast, and we don't want you. I don't care if I only get 10 listeners a week. If they're the 10 listeners that appreciate it and enjoy it, that's fine. I'll keep doing it. But if I'm going to get 100 listeners and 90 of them are going to go, oh, but Bouncy, can you answer my question, please? I was wondering what your thoughts were on the Quantic Dream's future works with PlayStation. Do some reading. There's plenty of stuff out there they've put out there. They have made their intentions quite clear. Read it. Then you can make your mind up and then come on and say, I'd like to come on your show and talk a bit about Quantic Dream. And you can come on. I don't care. Record a bit of audio, send it in, and we'll play it. I might ridicule it if it's shit, but, you know, I'm just saying that I've had enough, right? I could, right now, hang on, let's just take the microphone off the stand for a second. Right, now I'm sat on a swivel chair that was bought from the side of the road by my wife during this very rainy period that may well be soggy, right? I turn around, I look around at my room, I can see dusty old Guitar Hero controllers, I can see a cuckoo clock, I can see a light with burnt out light bulbs in it, right? Blank discs, or discs with indeterminate contents on them, on a spindle, from my days where I would download American TV series after American TV series, and it doesn't make me more informed. But I've played games a lot, and I've kind of have formed opinions based on experience. And if you're telling me that some 15-year-old little tattooed fucking American urchin who goes on IGN and drops his trousers and puts a bloody robot head on and says, oh, look at me, I'm cool, oh, I'm one of the tattooed young ones, ooh, look at me, my opinions are far more worthy than somebody that's actually played the games that we're talking about, that when a kind of anniversary edition or something comes out, they go, oh, I really enjoyed the original one, or I hope it's not been ruined. You never played the original one. When Ico and Shadow of the Colossus HD came out, I was at Eurogamer watching like new generation gamers playing a game. They couldn't do it. They didn't understand. They were like, oh, this is a really good game. They never played it. They might have tried to play it. They couldn't do it because it was obviously designed for people that actually wanted to experience something. It sickens me that it's not even an industry, is it? Fucking websites and hang on, put this back on stand. Websites and blogs and things. It's not an industry. It's just people with a habit and a hobby, and they just want to do something. You know, they want to enjoy something, and I want to enjoy this, and I want you to enjoy this. So I think it's about time. Draw a line under this week's show, if you can even call it that. I mean, Dalek Sex's bit was good. The adverts were all right. There was a bit in the middle where I talked about saucepans that was quite good. But let's just be honest. It's not been a great show. And most of that is down to people complaining who shouldn't have been listening to the show in the first place, and people who should have been listening to the show not listening to the show when they should be. So if you do listen to the show after the effect, you know, do leave us a review on iTunes just to prove to some people that there's more than 3 people that like it. And 2 of those 3 people are the same people for a website. Not the same people, but they're from the same website that we plugged. So it's kind of almost like the prostitute's kiss, you know? Nobody wants that. So yeah, next week we'll be back talking about new consoles and stuff, rumours and speculation. Hopefully it'll be better. Goodbye.
Bouncy gave a big yawn and settled down to sleep. And of course, when Bouncy goes to sleep, all his friends go to sleep too. Nerf Derma and Scarred Star were just a pair of old bad trolls. Dalek Sex went back to playing with his organ, and even Bouncy himself was just an old cloth twat, baggy and a bit loose at the seams. But Emily loved him.